Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the City of Independence, I welcome each of you in attendance to the February 11th meeting of the Independence Planning Commission. Before we begin our meeting, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is the responsibility of this commission to hold public hearings and make recommendations to the City of Independence Council on matters related to zoning and land use changes. We also consider and make decisions on plats, special use permits, and other issues, as well as changes in codes and policies that relate to city planning. So before we begin our meeting tonight, we'll just run through the procedure. First, as each case is introduced, the applicant of the case will be recognized to speak on behalf of their case, then followed by anyone else in attendance that would like to speak in favor of that case. After that, those who are in opposition or who have questions regarding that case will then be recognized to speak. And if there was any opposition or questions from the public, the applicant of that case will be allowed a rebuttal period to address those concerns or questions. Then once the applicant is finished, the chair will declare the public hearing portion of the case closed, and further comment from the public will not be recognized. The commissioners will have the opportunity to discuss the merits of the case with one another, and during that discussion, the commission reserves the right to ask all parties concerned any questions they may need to. Finally, the commission will render a decision on the case. Because this is the only public hearing of the case on the agenda tonight, all those who wish to speak will be heard. All comments and questions should be addressed to the chair and not directly to the applicant or to the staff members here. The chair also requests the statements be kept brief and on point. If any statement has been previously made by another speaker, please do not repeat it, but simply indicate your agreement on the matter. So to expedite tonight's meeting, the chair asks that everyone who wishes to testify or to speak on the case or to ask a question, in other words, anyone who's going to approach the podium to ask anything, be sworn in. So if anybody's going to do that, now's the chance to stand up and be sworn in. Okay, those standing, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth before this commission? If so, please answer, I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Our first case tonight is case 20-100-03, 17517 and 17525 East US 24 Highway. Would the city please present the introduction to this case?
R&B Architecture Engineer Construction LLC requests to rezone an existing strip center located at 17515 East US Highway 24 from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to C2 General Commercial. The applicant intends to renovate the center. And you can look at the vicinity map here. You see this is that strip center that's southwest of roughly the Commerce Bank and Hardee's facilities located at Susquehanna Ridge and US 24 Highway, that traffic light there. You see the surrounding zonings are C1 Neighborhood Commercial, although if we had a more blown up picture of this area, there's considerable amount of C2 along the corridor, all the way from here all the way back toward Nolan Road. You've got C2 to the north, And of course, C1 on either side, and you've got R12, two-family residential on properties to the south of this. So the comprehensive plan, of course, envisions commercial uses for this vicinity. So looking at the aerial photo, you can see there's the main entrance is off 24 Highway across from that used car lot. To the northeast, you see the Commerce Bank, another office building directly to the east. The Hardee's is right up there at the corner, and you can see there's a private access drive that this center can also be reached from Susquehanna Ridge to give access to the lighted intersection there. Here's the elevations of the proposed structure. The renovation project will include 2 contemporary facades that are more attractive and will create new surface areas for wall signs. So the legal non-conforming signs, roof signs that are currently on the building will be able to be eliminated. The building's easternmost tenant space will include a convenience store gas station. Currently, the strip center has 6 units, 2 of which are vacant, including the unit for the proposed convenience store. So this is one view, and here's another view. You can see the existing center on the south. Actually, I have some color photos that will be make that more visible than what you see on this drawing. This slide shows the site layout. In the parking lot area, directly north of that end unit, eliminating the east aisle, will be new pumps. These will result in a loss of 11 parking spaces. However, there will still be 20 more for the center than is required per code. Landscaping islands and residential buffering will be needed. However, given the constraints of the existing paved surfaces, there might be also a need for some administrative adjustments on the landscaping requirements as well. More detailed, of course, site plan and landscaping will be reviewed by staff administratively during the building permit process. This is looking directly west at the east unit, the end unit, where the convenience store will be, and to our right, toward the lights in the parking lot there, to the right of that, in front of that would be the pump areas where the canopies would be. This is looking east down the private drive back towards Susquehanna Ridge, and that east entrance leading to the access to the lighted intersection. And this is looking more northeast toward Hardee's. And this is the duplexes that lie to the south of the property. And this is looking directly south, directly at the existing strip center. As you can see, the front is all glass, and then it's roof above there. So currently, the only place they can put signage is on the roof, and that's where they have been installed. This is the neighbor to the west, the Dollar General Store, or Dollar Tree, I'm sorry. And then this is looking west down US 24 Highway, and the Bank of America building on the north side, as well as the car lot that's directly across the street to the north. Metro Motors right there. And looking back to the east, back toward the lighted intersection, Commerce Bank building. And looking toward the pump area in front of the end unit where the convenience store would be located. Staff recommends approval of the zoning request, and I'm ready to take any questions you may have.
Question. I've tried to find a downfall in this particular one just because of being due diligence. And I didn't find any other than the fact that gasoline sales will be permitted whereto they had not been. So tell me, what's the downside on this particular project, in as much as I was not able to find it?
From a planning point of view, I can't think of really any downside. The big upsides to it are we get a building with a new facade and maybe some more landscaping out of
Yeah,
it.
we lose, I think, 11 parking spots.
That's correct.
A substantial improvement in image consistent with the strategic plan 2040. So what was the downside?
Staff has not come up with any that we could think of.
Okay. Not a trick question. I was just trying to find, there has to be a downside somewhere. I have not been able to find it. I thought perhaps you were withholding information, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The landscaping requirement, I would think are there apartments behind that, to the south of that?
Yeah, and that's why they'll need to meet that residential buffering requirement. And they've got plenty of green space back there to do it.
Do they? Okay.
So there shouldn't be any kind of waivers needed to do that.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like the other building that's closer to the CVS up there, where there's just a little strip of grass that's like a foot wide. But if they've got that kind of buffer, then that's fine.
I mean, there's quite a bit of
Okay. Yeah.
grass back
The only other question, well, I got two other questions. One is, are they going to have to do a different light scheme for outdoor parking lot lighting? Do they have to modernize that, or is it
Not,
sufficient?
no, but we will probably look at, I don't think they have a bleeding problem because these seems to be quite distant from
Well,
the
that's
right of way, so.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong, but that one previous picture you showed up there was the dollar store or whatever it is next to it. And they have several, and I think this one has one, unless I'm mistaken.
I mean, as part of a site plan, if they they're generally with site plans, you turn in photometric plans. I mean, the canopies are going to have, for the gas pumps, are obviously going to be lit, and there'll be, numbers about the illumination coming from those as well. And as part of a photometric plan, we will review it and make sure it meets requirements of code.
Is the gas store associated with the convenience store, or is it just got its own little kiosk or what?
It's part of the convenience store, a gas station, yes.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I had. Does anybody else have questions at the moment? Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here? Hello. You're welcome to come up and give us any other additional information if you would like to. And if you would, before you begin, just state your name and your address.
My name is Riyad Baghdadi. My address is 11661 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas 66210.
Thank you, sir.
And I agree with Brian and with the city on their conclusion in here, and I would like to add just a couple of things. I think C2 is more appropriate for the site because first, it's on a 24 highway, which is a highway street. Second, the adjacent uses, the bank and Hardee's, actually are a lot more heavier uses since they have a drive-through. So this one here will match the adjacent. There will be no adverse effect on the residential area because the building itself actually is a barrier between the gas station or the gas canopy and the residential area. So there will be no effect. I mean, I don't see really any adverse effect on the residential area in there.
Okay, all right. Does any of the commissioners have questions of Mr. Riyad here?
The gas pumps,
Yes.
they will be adjacent to 24, on the
Correct.
24 side.
Correct, on the 24 side, correct.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
are you just now purchasing this property?
No, the owner has it. I'm not the owner, I'm the designer. We are the architect
I see.
and the engineers on this.
Is the alcohol going to be with Spirit World? Is that still going to remain there?
Yes.
So they'll be handling, is that the convenience store that's going to be Spirit World now?
Yes, it will be, the Spirit World will be moved into the convenience store after it's been remodeled.
Can I ask one?
Yes.
So Spirit World's still part owner?
Yes,
The
yes, Spirit World is one
people
of the
right now
uses
that
in-
own it still own the Spirit World convenience store now.
Yes,
And then Pizza Hut and the tobacco place
yes.
are gonna be gone?
No, the pizza place will stay there. The tobacco and the Spirit World will move to the convenience store.
No, those were two separate owners, correct?
No, all
Or
the
no,
mall
of the-
is owned
of the
by
convenience
same
stores.
person.
The stores are?
Yeah, all the strip is owned by the same person.
Not the strip, but the
The businesses?
businesses themselves.
No, I think the businesses are different, right?
They're all different owners.
Could you come up to the microphone?
It's recorded for a reason, so you,
This is
we won't hear you unless you speak into the microphone.
this is Ashraf Huda. He's
Yeah,
the owner.
I'm the owner, sir.
Okay,
The strip
and-
center.
And I just have to swear you in.
Yes, sir.
I know you probably weren't expecting
Yeah,
to say
this is
anything.
my name is Ashraf Huda. I'm the strip center owner.
Okay, and you promise to tell us the truth, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, you're sworn in. Okay, so go
I'm
ahead and
sorry.
say what you were going to say.
Me or him?
Either one.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and ask.
I was just asking if the same owners are gonna still be able to maintain their businesses in the new strip mall?
No,
is all.
the spirit wall is gonna be moved out from there, and the smoke shop is also gonna go on from there to both. So I'm gonna combine both store in that particular, the right side of the store.
So the owners of Spirit World and the smoke shop
Yeah, they
are
will
gonna be gone,
Yeah,
and you're taking over that whole part?
yeah.
So you bought them out or something?
Yeah,
then? So your liquor license, you have to have their liquor licenses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I know we're not at this point yet. We're just talking about the zoning, but you guys are okay with doing what you have to do with complying with the landscape code and whatever other changes you may have to do that come forward later, correct?
Absolutely. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions of these gentlemen? Okay. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this case? Is there anyone here who is opposed or who has questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion of this case and ask my esteemed colleagues if they have any questions, comments, or motions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move for, in the matter of case number 20-100-03, rezoning at location 17515 East US 24 Highway. RB Architecture Engineering requests this zoning that it be moved from C1 Service Commercial to C2 General Commercial with the recommendations of the city staff.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Preston moved and Commissioner McLean seconded. Unless there's any other discussion or motions, we'll go ahead and take the vote on this.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Chairman Ashball.
Yes. Case number 200-100-03 has been approved. Good luck to you, gentlemen. Next case on the agenda tonight is case number 19-400-06, short-term rental at 1130 South Pearl Street.
Yes, Margaret Paget, Three Trails Cottages, seeks to operate a short-term rental business at 1130 South Pearl Street. The oval shows the location of the site, which is just north of 23rd Street on the west side of South Pearl. You can see the little oval there that shows the location.
Thanks for the detailed drawing.
Yeah. This is the zoning for the area that shows the property in the oval again. Commercial properties are on both sides of East 23rd Street, just to the south of the site. On the north side of the commercial strip are rental properties that are zoned R12, as shown as yellow on this map. As you can see, it's all yellow to the north of the 24 highway corridor. This map shows the aerial with the site in the oval again. The house rests on the front, which is on the east side of the property, with a two-car garage in the rear. There is a church on the east side of Pearl Street. The two properties directly south are Zone C2, General Commercial. East 23rd Street is at the bottom of the photo. The applicants provided this aerial photo showing the house and the parking area behind the house and additional parking along the street. Here we're on Pearl looking west into the site. This is the joint driveway this house shares with the house to the south, which is also the garage in the distance that is with this applicant's property here. Here we're looking west directly at the front of the bungalow-style house from Pearl. These two houses are directly north of the applicant's property on the west side of Pearl. And then this house is across Pearl to the northeast of the site. And then looking south from that last house, this is the new Walnut Park Church, which is on the northeast corner of Pearl and 23rd Street, directly to the east of the applicant's property. And this is the house that's immediately south of the site. Again, there's the joint driveway that serves both properties. Staff recommends approval of the short-term rental subject to the following conditions. The short-term rental shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupational license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. The business shall comply with all standards established by Section 14.420 of the City Code.
Thank you, Stuart. Does anyone have questions of the city before we bring the applicant forward? Okay, would the applicant please come forward and make sure you speak into the microphone and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Margaret Paget, 11416 East 20th Street South, Independence.
Thank you. Do you just have anything to add or anything you want to tell us?
Well, I would like to let you know that we own the first three properties on Pearl Street, right next to each other. The house to the left of this one, to the south, is my office. So we can keep an eye on this property, and we do keep an eye on it all the time. We also own a restoration company, and we maintain and restore all of our properties. We also do all of the lawn maintenance, both exterior and interior maintenance that's needed.
Okay. I did have a question just for you. Do you, are you a member of a platform like Airbnb or?
Yes,
Okay.
VRBO and Airbnb.
Okay. All right. I just didn't see that in any of the paperwork we have, so not that you necessarily have to be, but it's a good idea to,
That's the only way to do it.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get business, so.
sure. Okay. Does anyone have questions of the applicant?
Ms. Badger, first I want to say thank you for the investments and commitment you've made in improving of the properties. And I certainly applaud this concept. However, you do understand that we deferred on a lot of the short-term rentals so that we could do a better job with the ordinances and regulations. And I'm sure you understand that this license is being issued for 1 year,
Certainly, yes.
and that there may be changes in the future.
That's understandable.
I wish you Godspeed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to, are you currently renting out now?
Yes, we are.
Have you had success?
We've had great success with it.
What kind of people, where are they coming from? You
From
know?
all over. A lot of people come for family reunions or for baseball games. A lot of vacation travelers.
Yeah, see, how long
that
have you been, how long have you been doing it?
are- a little over 2 years.
Really?
A lot of business travelers, too.
What would you say your occupancy is?
Probably 14 days a month on average. Some months, the full month. Other times during the slow times in the winter, January and February, might just be a week.
Right, and that's, so that driveway you share with is your office on this side?
Correct,
Correct, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, looks good.
And it is large enough in back to fit 3 vehicles on that side.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this case? Is there anyone here who is opposed or who has questions? Okay, the public hearing portion of this matter is closed. Do I have motions or other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if we've already discussed this or not, but, and the staff, we have a city lodging tax, don't we?
That's right,
Yeah.
hotel tax.
Yeah. Have we discussed this before?
We probably have.
Well, they're required to pay that.
They
If
are?
that's the question, yes.
Yeah, required to pay that and then any licensing fees
Yeah,
every year.
typical business license fees with that,
But
just like
that-
a hotel would.
And I'm sure they have to provide proof of insurance for, or they don't?
Well, I'm not sure, I know if you were probably. I'm not sure about liability, probably that as well, but different types have,
Have different Airbnb
yeah.
platforms.
I don't get into the licensing to that detail. I just pretty much review the zoning parts of it.
Yeah. Stuart, do you know what the rate is on that hotel tax?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
I should know.
I'll find out before the next
Okay.
meeting.
Well, she doesn't know, so.
I don't know, I should know, I pay it, I just don't know what it is.
Do you know what it is?
I thought it's all on the platform. It goes to the platform.
No,
Well, but
the
there's a,
city
there's a
hotel
city
tax.
tax.
Yeah, don't it go through the platform? And then it pays it out of the bill?
Yeah.
We'll find out before the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, I'd love to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve Case number 19-400-06, short-term rental for 1130 South Pearl Street. Margaret Paget requests a short-term rental permit with city recommendations.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I believe we're ready to take a vote.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes?
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashbaugh.
Yes. Case number 19-400-06, short-term rental for 1130 South Pearl's been approved. Our next case, case number 19-400-011, short-term rental for 100 West Moore is up.
Okay, again, this is Margaret Pageant of Three Trails Cottages. She seeks to operate a short-term rental business at this address at 100 West Moore in North Central Independence. The oval shows the location of the site, which is on the northwest corner of West Moore and North Main. The zoning for this area with the property in the oval. Commercial property is along both sides of 24 Highway just to the south. None of the, north of the commercial strip are residential properties zone C2, shown as yellow on the map. The HL designation in the zoning, after the zoning designation, indicates historic landmark, this being the site of Ginger Rogers' birthplace. The aerial shows the property in the oval. The house rests on the south end of the property. Much of the surrounding property is also single-family bungalow-style homes. The applicant provided an overhead picture of the site as well, again showing the property and then some parking areas. Here we're on West Moore, looking north into the side at the front of the building. You can't really see it very well, but there's a sign on the corner that says the birthplace of Ginger Rogers. It's just on the other side of that zoning sign. Sorry, I should have covered up that with the zoning sign. Okay, here we're looking west directly at the side of the house. And this is the driveway approach that goes into a parking space that is yet to be provided. This is the driveway approach just north of the house. Staff recommends a paved driveway be added here for at least one car. This is the house on the north side of the site. And these are a couple of houses on the east side of North Main, northeast of the property. This is the house on the northeast corner of North Main and West Moore. I think it's also owned by the applicant. Here we're looking at a commercial building on the southeast corner of Main and Moore. I think there used to be a motorcycle shop in there or something at one time. This is the house on the southwest corner of North Main and West Moore. It faces North Main. And this is the house that's immediately west of the applicant's property. Staff recommends approval of the short-term rental subject to the following conditions. The short-term rental shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupational license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. The business must comply with all standards established by Section 14.420 of the city code. And 3 is provide at least one paved off-street parking space in the rear yard for guests.
Thank you, Stuart. Are there any questions of city staff before we bring the applicant back up? Okay, Ms. Paget, you're up again. And just for kicks, go ahead and say your name and address again, if you would.
Margaret Paget, 11416 East 20th Street South, Independence, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. Was there anything else you'd like to add to what Stuart said?
Yes, we will put the paved driveway in if that's required. And we also know the neighbors in the neighborhood. They're kind of keeping an eye out on the house for us anyway, considering what it is. And we also have a renter, a long-term renter, in the house on the corner at 1101 North Main. He's also my employee, so he is also keeping an eye on that property. So if there were any problems, I'd be notified immediately.
Okay, that sounds good. I did have a question, not that it probably makes much of a big deal or not. If someone were to park back there, is there a gate to get through that fence, or do they have to walk around to the other side, the
There's
front?
no gate and there's no fence blocking anything. They can just drive in. Now, we do have plans in the future to put a fence up. There's only a fence in the back and the side.
Well, that, I guess I should have been more specific. Is there a gate in the fence that's already there so they can walk into the back if they had to?
Oh, into the back door?
Yeah, if they park there. can they-
Yes,
okay,
yes, there
that's-
is. Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
Yes, there's
I
access.
wasn't real specific with my question, I'm sorry. And this is more for city staff, or maybe you'd like to. It would occur to me that there might be times that someone may, like, want to stay there, but have like a mobile home, RV or something. Would they be able to legally park it there?
Well, as long as, let me see if I can go back to this. This street doesn't have a curb on it,
Yeah.
and the applicant has placed stones along the side of the grass so that people won't park in the grass. And as long as they don't park in the grass, they're okay here
On the street.
on the street. But what we see in a lot of places that the people, they're concerned about their car being hit, so they pull off the street into the grass and create ruts and everything. And since we don't allow that for normal parking spaces, people parking in the grass, we're trying to provide, off-street parking as much as we can reasonably. And, or if the street's curved like her other location, then there's not an issue with that.
Yeah.
So it's conceivable they could just park right here along here as long as they don't pull off the street and into the grass.
Okay. So, in my memory, it doesn't really serve me too well. So any ordinance that we have for parking would be something that would be parked on a longer term than what these folks would.
You mean parking on the street?
On the street, or even, I thought there was something about parking, you couldn't park an RV past the front of your home.
Well, if it's parked on your property, it can be parked in front of the house as long as it's parked on a paved surface and it doesn't project out over the sidewalk.
Over the sidewalk, okay. Okay. And I'm not saying anybody, it just was something I started to wonder about, because that might happen sometime, and I didn't know if you'd put that actually on your platform, if they had to say that they were, going to bring an RV into
Well,
that
we
place.
actually have some rules that we've set up, and one of them is they can't bring any big trucks or RVs.
Okay.
So I don't think that'll be an issue, and since this is only a two-bedroom house, I can't imagine that. I don't think I would allow an RV to be there with more people.
Yeah.
To be in that small house.
And that's fine. I know you control, and I trust you. It's not an issue with me. I just was just kind of curious, because this is something kind of new for us. So as far as considering these short-term rentals, and I didn't know if when you pave that, if you were thinking about paving it for something that might be that big. But
No,
that's
I
not
don't think-
that's not a requirement or anything that you would have to meet. It was just more of my curiosity.
I have a question.
Yes.
Probably for the city more than anything. But why, is there a reason that we require them to do pavement for a driveway? Or could, if it was aesthetically more pleasing, do like gravel or pavers that could be driven on? Is that just?
Well, it is possible to use pavers that are designed and manufactured to hold the weight of a vehicle.
Mhm.
That is legal for any driveway.
Okay.
But gravel, no, we've been off gravel for over 15 years.
Oh, look, I'm old school. Okay, I was just curious, because it is it's a very cool house, and I just was curious.
I would like to kind of amend my motion or recommendation about the driveway that it be paved by May 1st. Is that reasonable? That's 2 months?
Is that reasonable?
No.
No?
How about June 1st? I mean, that gives you 3 months of good weather.
What do you think? Perhaps. Okay, June
By
1st.
June 1st.
June 1st is okay. Yes.
Okay.
I have more of a comment than a question. I recall when you were renovating that property, and I was present for a presentation you did and the enthusiasm you had about the restoration. I confess I'm again delighted to see that you have found a way to make it economically possible to preserve this property. Again, thank you.
Thank you. And in fact, we have plans to have kind of a dual use for it with, we have operated it as a museum in the past. So we are going to have some open times so the public can still enjoy it. And special events.
Great. Are there any other questions of Ms. Paget? All right, thank you. Okay, and just to keep everything legal and above board, I have to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this case. Yes. Come on up.
It's kind of late, so I wasn't sworn in.
Okay, well, you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great, you're sworn in. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Brenda Langwish, 1600 West Lexington Avenue in Independence.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I just want to echo Mr. Preston's comment. Ginger Rogers' birthplace, it's a treasure to Independence, and I just thank Margaret for restoring it and opening it up to the public so the whole country can see our treasure here.
Yeah, that's very kind of you to say that. Thank you. You're next. I got to swear you in too, don't I? I have to swear you in too, don't I?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly tell the whole truth before this commission? If so, please answer, I do.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I'm Eugene Paget.
Yes, sir.
I am the project manager of the restoration of the property. I'd like to ask the committee, with the time frame allowed for the 3 months to do the paving, this is a new area for me to explore. I know not much about it, and I need to get some estimates to have this done. Should I run into a little bit of a conflict with the timing to get it done, I would like to ask the committee for an extension, because I have some other projects I'm working with at the time. So this is all I'm asking. I will move forward with the paving, but it's a new area for me to explore.
Sure. Stuart, is the city okay with that as long as he's in communication with you folks?
Yeah, we'd still like it a reasonable time frame. I mean, I could push back to July 1st, but, you know, it's not really a big area. It's just a pad at the end of the approach.
Well, I think the nature of the concrete,
Or-
if that's what you're going to do.
Or asphalt, I mean, either one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
What were you thinking, sir?
Whatever approved by the city.
well, either one of those is acceptable.
Okay, so basically we're just looking for a pad to be established at the end of it.
Yeah, as you can see from the photo there, well, let me go one more here. Basically, it's on the other side of the sidewalk. Basically, where the gravel was, or sort of is now, was a parking place at one time. It just needs to be reestablished as a hard surface.
Yes, that area is probably about maybe 40 foot long to that back.
Well, you don't have to make it that long.
Okay,
A normal parking space is about 18 to 20 feet and by 8 or 9 feet wide.
okay. I think I can handle that. Thank you.
Sure. Am I speaking out of turn that as long as he kind of stays in contact with you? to
Sure, if
let
you
you
can
know
do
what's
that.
going on? Because weather and contractor schedule and all that stuff sometimes gets it pushed back further than you'd want to. So I think that's a reasonable request, and I think everyone up here is okay as long as you keep them in the loop. We'll be fine.
I'll do that.
All right, thank you, sir. Yep.
There is one other factor involved with this, and that is the Heritage Commission. I have to submit plans for the entire exterior landscaping and some improvements we have to do, well, repairs to the house.
Sure.
And so they want everything at once, so I've got to do that in the next month. And then also would depend on their time schedule for approving that and getting that done. And hopefully they would have that done in that amount of time. So,
Understand. Well, you guys okay with that too? Sure. Okay. All right. Where was I? Well, first, is there anyone else who'd still like to speak in favor of this case? Okay, is there anyone here who has questions or who would like to speak in opposition? Okay. Seeing nobody wanting to gain the podium, we'll just go ahead and close this public portion of this case and ask the commissioners if they have any questions, comments, or motions to please state them.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I move to approve case number 19-400-11, short-term rental at 100 West Moore Street, with the recommendations of the city and a proposed deadline of July 1st
Thank
for the
you.
paving of the
Sure.
parking spot.
Okay. Any seconds?
I second it.
Thank you. All right. I believe we're ready to take a vote on this matter.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashbaugh.
Yes. Case number 19-400-11, short-term rental for 100 West Moore Street has been approved. Good luck to you folks, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
I did get a note from, that says our transient guest tax is 6.5%.
6.5%. What a deal. Okay. I believe we're at the part about approving minutes. They looked okay to me. I did like the little footnote about Miss McLean.
I know, I just,
Yeah, okay.
I believe that's a first.
let's just call it out. and put it in.
Call her out like that.
Well, we're glad you showed up. So, does anybody have changes to the minutes? Okay, the minutes stand approved as written. Does city staff have anything to share with us, or do any of the commissioners have anything they would like to share with staff?
Yeah, I was just curious, are we going to have a limit of these short terms? Or just what the regulations that I've read?
Basically, there's a limit on the number that you can put on a block face and the number that a single owner can have, but there's not really a total of 25 or something in the city.
In the city, yeah. Because I think we're going to have a whole lot of these.
Well, the next meeting, we have 2 more, and then 1 more, the week, 1 after that, and then 2 more after that. There's several coming through. Most of them were holdovers from last fall.
Since you've had your first, before we had to get some clarification on that, if you had any other people come forward to
Well,
request that licensing?
We've had 1, and I sent some stuff to somebody today, so we might have a couple more in the next couple months.
And not that you're probably looking for more work to do, but there was some speculation that there might be more of these out here than people coming forward. So,
Well, I know that Miranda was going through all the platforms and getting all the information she could find on, businesses in town, and that's where we came up with most of this list.
okay, so that's about as thorough as you can do.
We do everything we can. I mean, when we
Sure.
run across one, somebody mentions one or something, we try to investigate it.
So
Okay.
then do you contact them and just tell them they have to come before us, or?
Yeah,
and get
send them a
business
letter or
license?
call them and say that, well, you have a business, you need a license, and you need approval from the planning commission.
Like 60, 90 days, what's the response you're looking for?
Something like that. It kind of varies. If they seem like they're active in pursuing it, then, but if they kind of brush us off, then we have to put a limit on their time.
Okay. Do you guys ask them if they're already on a platform, or they already are because that's the only people you're looking for?
I don't know there's any requirement for them to tell us, but generally they mention it during the meetings because it seems to be the only way to get your business out there.
Well, and I'm not worried about the people that are trying to get their business out there. I'm worried about the folks that are trying to do something and don't have their business out there. Which means they're probably trying to be, whether they, the suspicion is they're trying to do something a little off the books. Yeah. So,
Well, they've been doing it for a couple of them. She said she'd been doing it for 2 years.
well, I think that some of these folks, we didn't have anything in place, right?
That's correct.
So we passed an ordinance and then we're trying to get people to comply. So,
Yeah, we had about 7 or 8 or 9 in the on-deck circle, so to speak,
yeah.
from last fall, and they're going through the process now. We put everybody on hold.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think that there's a whole lot of folks out there. I just didn't know if you ask them straight out or if I should ask that question every time that people come before us, are you on a platform? Because if they're not on a platform, I don't think they're trying to be legitimate. Or the chances would be high that they're not trying to be legitimate. They may be, but I just didn't know. So you don't ask them because that's how you're finding them, is by going through the platforms.
Not at this time.
You don't ask them because that's how you're finding it. So you know they're on there. Okay. So when you relicense them, do you ask them again? Are you still on a platform?
No, we don't.
Well, Stuart, you should, I think. I would like to see you guys do that.
I would like to clear that up also, is that their business licenses due annually and their inspections, but they don't have to come back and get reapproval from this board or anything else. They just renew their typical business license.
Okay.
I don't want to make sure there was a distinction between what you had said earlier.
Would it be possible for you to send us all a copy of the new ordinance, just so that we have it for our books?
Sure, we can email that out to you tomorrow.
Thanks. Okay.
Did it change at all from what we approved?
Not that much, really. It talks about so many on the face of a block or block face, and then the maximum number that one owner can have. Nothing as far as the actual site itself. And they also have to do rental ready every year, I think.
Right. I remember all that stuff.
I don't. That's why I need it in front of me. I can't remember.
All right, is there any other comments?
I still hope that we are diligent in our gathering of statistics so that we'll understand the economic impact on long-term rentals and the availability of housings for local residents. And the only way we're going to know that is if we keep some good numbers and revisit it. I know you'll do that. I will do that.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, Stuart, I'm sorry to say this, but it's been 54 minutes, not 40. Maybe I did. Okay, this meeting stands adjourned at 6:54 p.m.
Very good, sir.